Hello world, welcome to Code or Not to Code. I'm Miliva, and as always, I'm thrilled to be here today. And Stefan's with me. How are you doing, Stefan?
I am doing great. Oops.
Sneak peek. Today's going to be a really good day.
Indeed.
If it's your first time tuning in, we're two friends with a passion for coding, and we meet every other week to work on our awesome .NET tool. I'm a newbie in the .NET universe, while Stefan here has many years of experience under his belt, and together we're a fantastic team, I'd say. What do you think?
Indeed. Well, we have successfully published a .NET tool that I do dog feed myself. And we learned a lot over now almost 1.5 years of streaming, haven't we?
Yeah. Oh my God, time flies when you're having fun. And for those of you who don't know, let me give you a quick rundown of what our tool is all about. First up, we have some really cool features for analyzing and refactoring using directives. So our command count does exactly what it says. It counts and lists all the top level using directives. And then there's globalize, which takes those top level using directives and moves them to global using directives, which can be super, super handy. And we also dove into the world of experimental interceptors. So we also, our tool can find and list the experimental interceptors in your project. So yeah, those are, I guess, our main features. And yeah, as Stefan said, we had our first pre-release last year. And if you're curious to see how we built this tool from the ground up, you can watch all of our previous streams on YouTube, because we did it all live here on this show. And while you're on YouTube, please do not forget to subscribe. And if you want to stay in touch or just reach out and say hi, please give us a follow on any of those social medias that are on our GitHub page. Because we always like to see you. Eric is sleepy.
Yeah, well, we started a little bit over just on time. Let's put it like that. But a lot of people are saying hi already.
Yeah, awesome. It's always really good. Justin Trading is here. We've got some really cool regulars in the house. Thank you guys so much for joining, and also sorry for the slight delay today. But yeah, welcome to the show. Thanks for joining in. All right, I think let's jump in. What have we got in store today?
Well, we have opened an issue in our repository. Well, we have opened many issues. One of the earlier ones is, and that we keep promising that for quite some time now, to do with Fluent Assertions. And we actually have a couple of use cases already. Jumping to one test here. This is one of our using globalizer tests, which is taking top-level using directives and moving them to a single global using directive. And if we make a mistake, let's say we create our project with C#6, but we are using file-scoped namespaces. They are available in C#10. Now this will cause an error. But we previously had trouble displaying the error. In previous episodes, we always did some debugging to find out what errors, if we want to get them out of system.command line, and the output and error streams from the console. And yeah, here it is. And so we only see there is a problem, but unfortunately, this is the exception is cut off, and we don't really have a mean here to modify, to customize that. Also, what we see, our tests, we had to do, since our assertions are rather complex, we do hide them behind other facilities. For example, when we verify the console, we have a special type for that, and we don't really use we kind of hide the native asserts. And it would be cool if we could integrate this more into our general how we write assertions. Also, what I'm always get confused is the left-hand side the actual or the right-hand side, and which one is the expected. So I always need to hover and then see, expected first actual. So they don't read all too fluent, don't they?
No, they do not, and we definitely want to fluentify them, and we need some help with that. And who would be better than the creator and maintainer of Fluent Assertions to help us with that. Please welcome the continuous improver, Dennis Doomen. Goedenavond.
Goedenavond, ja.
Yes.
Schöne Abend.
Nice.
Wie geht's? Alles gut over?
Alles super. Thanks so much for joining us. It's an honor to have you on the show with us.
It's an honor to be here and an honor to be asked.
Just for those who don't know, like the Nougat package for Fluent Assertion actually has 369 million downloads, which makes you kind of a celebrity in the .NET community, I'd say. And just for our Gen Z viewers out there, as a comparison, this is just as many downloads as the most popular song from Taylor Swift's newest album on Spotify has, Fortnite. So yeah, you're basically a code influencer, I'd say. So how does it feel to be
the only
famous?
big difference is that she actually earns a shitload of money. And, I don't get anything from this. I mean, my wife always tells me, like, if you only would have gotten 1 cent, per download or something like that.
Yes.
And I'm not complaining.
would
I have
look
a very awesome employer. So I'm doing this for the fun of it.
That's cool. We've met a couple of times while having fun with it at some conferences. I think in Nuremberg, in Oslo, and in Prague, if I remember correctly.
UpdateConf, NDC, and DVX, I guess.
Yeah. Yes, exactly.
Yeah. I also lost track. I think I also saw you in Berlin at Kedinsky. Is that correct? Is that possible?
The upcoming one next week?
No, the last one. Like one of the last ones. I don't even remember. I've seen you so many times and we've made so much fun. I just don't remember which conference it was. Happens to me. Don't worry about that.
Which was quite an honor to meet you, and again now have you on the show, because you have been a mentor to me before I even knew you. I think you are the author of the C# coding guidelines, aren't you?
Yeah, true.
And I've been using them since 2015 is the first time, and we just clicked through them while preparing, and there is one that is actually now also I think an analyzer in the .NET SDK for enumerables to use any over using count greater than 0. And well, this guidance general, I have to say they have been quite influential to my day-to-day coding.
And did you know that there's actually a dedicated Roslyn analyzer for the coding guidelines, specifically for these guidelines?
Oh,
cool.
Yeah, it's actually maintained by Bart Kuhlman, a former colleague of mine. It's called, I think, the C# Analyzer. I'll share the link momentarily, which I use in all my projects as well. Should I share it in the chat or in the join the chat thing?
I don't think you can in the private chat. I don't think you can. Yes, please. Then I forward it in the.
Also, this is what it is.
Yeah, YouTube chat.
It's actually pretty cool. And I would even say that Bart, who's maintaining this, is almost like a co-author now of the coding guidelines, because he's a person that thinks really deeply about the consequences of certain analyzers, of certain rules, and we have interesting discussions about that. It's really cool. Yeah. I always wanted to build an analyzer, but I never got the time to do that.
Yeah, you're very busy, aren't you? Like you have so many so many different projects, and I honestly don't know how you find the time, especially if you're like working.
Me neither.
As well.
For reference, I think I've just spent 110 hours on playing Horizon Forbidden West. So tonight I'll spend the 2 hours that I would have been available with you instead of playing.
Oh, well, thank you so much. I really appreciate it.
I'm very lucky. I think my wife is now downstairs playing Mario Kart with my kids in the living room, so that's my excuse to be here.
Stuart is here. So Taylor Swift tickets, they are not cheap.
Oh, wow.
Hi, Stuart.
Pretty awesome, actually. Yeah. See, that's why she's rich. No, she's very smart, I think. Taylor Swift. Okay.
Yeah. Who wouldn't want to use Fluent Assertions? Cool. So shall we jump into it?
Sure.
Yes.
Amazing. Let's see if we get the co-authoring and all going. We currently have a failing test, and we would like to improve the error messages. So let's Fluent assertionify this very assertions, the two that we have, where we can I zoom in a little bit more if I know the shortcut. Yes,
So
where we
if I can
check the
jump in,
output and the error of the stream. Yes, please.
so the first thing I notice is that you actually call your tests. I have this weird thing where I actually postfix all my test classes with specs because I'm a big proponent of test-driven development. So one of the things, it doesn't make any technical difference. It's just a mentality thing. So I like to actually call them specs to emphasize the fact that what you're doing here is essentially trying to describe behavior. How is this system supposed to behave semantically and technically? It's just a thing that I do. I do that everywhere.
How do you then call the test project or the test namespace? Do you call this also
specs as well? Yeah.
Specs.
Yeah. Of course, then your IDE will complain because your assembly or project is not called like that. But yeah, that's just a tiny thing.
I'm afraid when you turn to the camera, then the sound cuts a little bit off, I think, from the microphone distance.
Yeah, because of course I have to. Yeah.
Thank you. Oh, cool. Oh yes. Oh, I see we are continuously improving already. What's next? what next can we improve?
So what does the thing do? What does this verify do?
So we in this test, so we are using system.command line so this is an integration test. We fire up system.command line that is driving our main application. We pass it the commands that we actually would like to test, and then we run that thing. And then as output, since we have command line input as an input, we have console error and console output streams as an output. And also the file system, since the using globalizer is actually moving usings to be globalized. In this case, when we want to globalize all system using directives, what it should now do is moving this system directive into the already existing global using files and add it there, which means then we also have a file assertion. So we also can check if we modify files on the system. We now, if I can't find it, where's the global using? Should be here. What am I doing wrong? Is this the wrong test?
But in the end, in your verification step or assertion, is really just string comparisons?
Yes. Yeah.
A single string comparing to another string?
This is what we currently do in the both. So for the file system, we do string comparisons for every file on the system. I think we normalize the line breaks, but that's about it. And for the command or for the console output and errors, we do just a string comparison. So we toString whatever we captured on the out stream, and then assert that indeed this is what we got.
Which test case are you looking at right now?
Currently at the globalize SDK style project replaces with global using directives.
12. Hey, am I looking at the different version of the code base using globalizer tests?
Yeah. Well, we have perhaps we also have the unit tests. So when we are in our core assembly is the unit tests, where we test our code directly. So there is a lot of...
I found it.
The CLI tests are
So in the end, the only thing you're doing is you pass in a raw string, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then you verify. Why does it do equal output, console, trim end, equal error? You're just doing two assertions. That's what it is.
Yes. So in this case, we implicitly also assert that
exactly.
That the error stream is indeed empty, so that we do not have any error reported.
Yeah. Okay. Right. So that sounds trivial because so you're basically doing string comparisons. Okay.
Yes.
And why don't you actually use wildcards, for example? Do you care about the exact contents of that text? In your verify call, you pass in this string, multi-line string. Do you actually care about the literal string that you expect?
Wow. never thought about it because we only did string comparison. I guess the most important part of this output is that we indeed have this project name, that we found 2 occurrences of the system using directive and the target. So we put this into the global usings.cs.
Yeah, so one of my, I would say, I don't know, guidelines sounds a bit strong, is that I like to make sure that in my assertion, I only assert the things that I care about. Because if something changes into the structure of the message, like if you change the, I don't know, the console out in a slightly different way, you might not actually care about the exact contents of the text, except for maybe some elements. So that's what I usually use, a regular expression match or a wildcard match. So if you want to rewrite this using Fluent Assertions, well, the first thing we should probably do is include the NuGet package.
Ooh, yes.
One more download.
Should we go 7 alpha, or do we do stable 6.12?
I don't think it does matter. It's always stable. It's just that 7 contains a lot of breaking changes. And yeah, we have to call it 7 because we strictly follow semantic versioning. So in this particular case, yeah, we call it alpha because we're shipping individual. People were asking, like, can we get some intermediate version? Because we haven't completed all the breaking changes, but it's totally fine for the demo.
Cool. The 12 days old brand new bits it is. Moving to the CS proj. And there we go. Let's build the project.
Yeah, should compile.
And
if you now go back to the extension, the first thing we could do is to actually use Fluent Assertions here. You know, can I actually do stuff, huh?
Yeah,
that would be amazing. Yeah.
So you're essentially doing 2 string-based assertions, and you want to make sure that the 2 of them are combined. You get one result, right?
Yes.
So
yeah.
if you would say, you could actually say that. So this is the output, I guess. And we can do should be output. Oh, I'm copy pasting the wrong one. No, that's the correct one. Probably this doesn't work because you have to import it. Does that work? I've never used Fleet before. It works. So that's step 1. By the way, if you enable AI Assistant or Copilot, probably it would have completed this by now.
Ah, right.
Do you use that? I do use that all the time.
I didn't.
actually.
I haven't used it in Fleet yet. No.
It's so smart. It will automatically do this for you. It saves me a ton of time, and I use Copilot, GitHub Copilot, as well as AI Assistant because they both add a lot of value. What was it? Error. Okay. That's it. Now, there's one special thing. You want to make sure that those 2 things, those 2 assertions, are grouped or combined so that if one fails or both fail, you get both messages.
Yes.
You can actually do that using saying, what is it? New assertion scope. Oh. Is this correct? I'm always confused about how to do that. Initialize. Okay. Yeah.
I think you put it using before the var.
Using var scope is new assertion scope. I think that's what it is. And then probably it's in the wrong namespace, so we include that. So this, in the past, I guess you cannot actually in Writer, you can actually show me how you used to do this with, you know, with curly braces and everything. You can switch around. Fleet doesn't. But this essentially means that any assertion that happens between this point and the end of the block will automatically combine everything together. But this is doing the same thing. So maybe, you know, can we run this test?
We should be able to, yeah.
Is there a run button here? Like
I guess there is also, if you have the bottom pane, you can, if you see that, you can rerun a test with it.
Oh, that's what it actually means. I'll rerun. I thought it actually meant refresh the view or something like that. Lots of stuff to compile. So it will fail. And what does it give you? Kind of the same thing.
But it gives us, well, it gives us a lot of information. So we also know which entire expression has failed. This really do this via what's that expression
Correct. Yeah, it's expression.
extension thing.
It's kind of the identifier. So it's basically showing you the left-hand side of the shoot statement.
Oh, that's really cool.
So it kind of interprets the stack trace and tries to use the PDBs to extract the identifier. Or maybe you could call it the subject in a test. That's the one you're actually executing the shoot on, right?
Can it come again?
So what I'm saying is that the left-hand side, so everything before the shoot is essentially the subject in the test. If you use the terminology from test techniques, this is the SUT, SUT, subject in the test. That's the one that you're actually observing or asserting against. And now you get a slightly different output. You can actually, it's still probably difficult to read because it's a lot of text. Oh, you have to go to the top indeed. And you see the same thing, with the arrows showing you where the difference is. That's one way of doing it.
I was not. Is there a way? Because actually, well, we played around with the 6.12 earlier, and it did show us the entire. It didn't cut off the actual. It showed us the entire actual. Is there a way to configure that to show the entire string?
Yeah, this is something new in 7 with the arrows. I think we did it on purpose because it would not make it very readable if you see everything.
I see. Yeah,
it's a good point. Actually, so that's the interesting thing of dogfooding it now, is that I'm going to write this down now because it might actually be something that you would like to see fully. Because the reality is that basically saying like, this is the first difference. Who cares about the rest, right?
Yeah.
Because this is already where it's wrong, where something is expected that it doesn't do that. Quite often that's enough information.
Yeah. Well, because in our case, what comes afterwards would give us now a little bit of a hint what is actually going on. Because in this case now it would show something like, or this is what we got with 6.12, that okay, hey, we're using C#6, but we require for file scope namespaces, this feature requires C#.
Okay, in that case,
this would maybe.
Oh, sorry.
I'm afraid I didn't catch that.
No, I was talking through you. The alternative, what we could do is to actually create your own assertion.
Ooh, yes. So
then you have a lot of freedom. So let's go back. There's an internal API, and it's called execute assertion. And then you can actually say fail or because of. That's the condition that you can add here, right? Like the condition could be that, and I'm just putting it here. No, it should be. This is a tricky one because we're actually diving into an example which probably requires a little bit of trial and error. But the idea of this construct is that you build. This is what happens internally. What the shoot method is actually doing internally, and you can do something like okay because of, and then you fail, and you can say expected context, and that's for example console output or something. If I'm not mistaken, because this stuff is not something you do every day. This will make sure that if it can actually extract the name of your subject under test, it will put it here. Otherwise, it will fall back to this one. You can say to be this, that found that. And then you just pass in what you're expecting. Probably we can do something like this. Can we do control V? Does that? No, that doesn't work. That's a shame. I'm playing around, by the way. I'm completely making a mess of your code. So this is the SUT, and this is the where is it? Output. Is this correct? Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Sorry. SUT is output. The problem now is that we can actually do this. SUT is output. output can be nil. And now it becomes complicated because output can be nil. Can the subject be nil? Console output?
No.
No, it cannot be. No. So why is this correct? It says cannot resolve because of candidates. Because of. Oh, sorry. For condition. The other one is actually here needed. So why is this not possible? Constant value.
Since it's a string, do we
Right?
need to write equals or dot equals, because is only works with constants, so we don't have a constant string.
Normally, is this using the newest version of C#?
12.
That should work. But we can also do it like this.
Mm-hmm.
But the problem with this one, you're basically back to square one, because now you're not going to get any information. That's the thing. So, because now it's just doing a literal comparison between the two, and it will still fail. You can still get the right exception type. So, is this XUnit? Are you using XUnit in the test?
Yes. Yeah.
Then you get the XUnit exception. It will figure that out. You can also chain it, but what you really want to have probably, and I'm thinking out loud, best of both worlds. You want to actually have the difference. So there's another thing you can do. Let me say something else. Okay. So this is probably not going to work, because if you want to use this low-level API, you would have to build the entire logic of figuring out where the difference is between two strings. You have to do that yourself, which is hard because that's an entire section in the code base. You could, of course, steal it from Fluent Assertions, but I would have to look at the code base myself to figure it out. Alternatively, we can drop this, and then take this one. So we take the set. We actually call it the console. Oh, you cannot actually use shortcuts here. Do I rename this? Oh, it's Control Dot. It's like Visual Studio stuff. I just want to rename it. How do I rename this?
Is that F2, I think?
It's Control R. Okay, it does work. It's the console output. It does work. And this is the first time I use Fleet. So now we're back to the original thing. I'm going to do something new. Using new assertion scope. You've seen this before. Var scope is, using var. Typing under pressure is much more difficult. We already saw that.
Tell me about it.
But the thing is, if something happens, if this actually throws an exception, because the assertion fails, it will be captured by this scope. And you can actually get what is captured. You can actually do a discard, and then you get back the failures. I think it's an array. Now you could say, and now it's going to be ugly, if failures length something like that, you could actually rethrow the original exception plus the full contents or something like that. If you get my point. So I think we skip this for a second just to see what it will do. So we get the failure back, and now we really want to say throw. Oh, actually, we can do this execute fail with. Oh, assertion. Sorry, it was a long day. Fail with expected. Oh, we basically just throw the exception, I think. Let's see something like this. So we actually get the first failure. First, and the original console output. Something like that.
Yes.
So let's see what happens if we do that. Does it even compile? Wow. There's a lot of noise here, right? Let's see. Expected console to be project like this whole thing. And then where's the rest not listed here?
So we get the
two occurrences
using
actual globalized to global. So now it's doing a string comparison.
Also, hold on. I think, no, wait a minute. It's actually good because, well, we
Ah.
don't have our console output is empty because we don't have any output. We only have something in the error stream.
So we have to do this twice.
Yeah.
We can do that. Yeah, we can do that. So we go back to, and we do the same thing.
Like for console
output.
error. Mm-hmm.
The error output here should be error. Both of them will be combined. And now we actually want to combine the whole thing. Yeah. So interestingly, probably we would want to combine this into, so we will actually get the failures. So can we put a breakpoint here? Does it actually work?
It should, yes, it should. I'll try to debug the test.
Yeah.
Debug.
It's actually same shortcut. This is very noisy. Oh, what does it say? Doesn't work. Wow.
Oh yeah, I'm getting some exceptions. No, it doesn't seem to.
So there's a fleet limitation, I guess.
Perhaps, yeah.
Yeah, so we can't do that. So we can actually dump the output. We can just, you can do this, but we can also just, I don't know, throw an exception. Or the cool thing here is this will actually throw the correct exception for your framework. If you use X unit, you get an X unit exception. If it's N unit, you get an N unit exception.
Oh, that's really cool.
I'm trying to think.
How do you discover? How do you discover that which framework it is? Do you inspect the call stack and see if there is a X unit attribute somewhere?
I think if I remember correctly, it's old code that hasn't changed a lot in the last 10 years. We actually look at the loaded modules, the loaded assemblies.
Ah, cool.
We use reflection to check out at runtime. Do you actually have X unit loaded or N unit loaded? And we'll figure it out. You can also override that. And if it can't detect anything, it will just throw a generic assertion failed exceptions. I'm trying to think out loud. Sorry, guys. So you have the two outputs, then you can just build your own message, right? You have to do it yourself. So you could do something like string builder. I don't know. No, you want to have string builder is string builder. Why is that not allowed?
I think you're just missing the text, system text.
Yeah. And then we skip this whole thing and we do a for each. It's not that smart actually. Failure. Failures. And then we basically, but you don't know which one is one. You actually should want to know that the first one is the consoler. That's true. Yeah, then it becomes ugly. Okay, if no, you don't actually know which one is which. See? So what you really want is to be able to have this short version of what Fluent Assertion does out of the box, and then get the full dump with everything else.
Yeah. I guess that would be actually so.
Yep.
Yeah, that sounds actually cool. Yeah.
I'm thinking out loud again, but I feel that would require a change in the implementation. Fluent Assertion. Because so that's what it is with a library like this. You try to come up with scenarios that make sense for the majority of people.
Yeah.
And we actually thought about, will it be helpful if you actually display the output like you saw with the little arrows, up and down? If you then get like 20 lines of multi-line output, it doesn't actually make sense. And in that case, I would probably say something like, you know what? Yeah, we can do that. We could say that okay, do it differently. Sorry, I'm trying to. Yeah, but this is the whole point of the session, right?
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
We can say that discard, and we have the messages if failures not any. Then we say we take the content, so we do a var. We can do it in different ways. We can say execute assertion, because this is how real software development works. It's not like you just produce code without thinking. You have to actually think about what's the best way to do that. Fail with, and then we do something like this. We include the failures, I guess. Failures, select. Oh, sorry, join. What's the thing again? Environment.new line. And you get the two messages. That will be one. But then you also want to include full output, full console output, or something. Make it full.
Ooh, yes.
And you dump the console output. You could make it smarter. Full error output.
Oh, I love that.
Something like this. That should work.
I think, is that join? I think that's a string.join.
Yeah.
String, I believe.
What is the... Oh, it's the wrong one. Yeah, exactly.
And is it first or second? I believe it's second. Something like this.
True. Is it correct now? Yeah, it should work.
Cool. Oops.
Can we make this less noisy? Oh, you actually don't see that.
Oh,
see the
no, I
test
don't. Maybe it's just the wrong output. Do I see? Is that debug? No. Oh, there it is. No, that's the old one.
It doesn't fail. That's not good.
Oh.
That's not good. I'm calling.
Oh, okay. I'm just running it again so that we see the output too.
Oh, no,
it does fail. It did fail on my end.
Flaky?
No. Oh, maybe because... No, I don't know. But we now have... Okay, cool. So we know that the error output... expected error output to be the same. But yeah, we have...
It starts earlier. Oh, wait.
Oh, yes. Oh, yes. There it is. So the expected output... Oh, yeah. This is what we saw earlier. But it differs because... Well, no, David says, because it actually is 0. We don't have any output. And the error was expected to be empty, but has something. And then we get the full dump. We see there is no output. There's only the error. And here's the message that we used the wrong language version. And this is exactly what we needed for the last 10 episodes or something.
Yes. It would have made the debugging a lot quicker.
Yeah, I don't like it myself. It feels like there's quite a lot of code just to display an assertion. But in your particular case, if I didn't think about this up front, I would probably come up with something better. For example, this one, console output, if it's empty, you ideally want to display some kind of, if this would be something that's part of the library, then I would also think about, okay, what do I display when there's no console output? Something like a special string, like there's no output or it's empty or something, instead of just an empty line. Because and really, you may even want to do something like this, in front of it. I think one quote is enough. So you can actually see the beginning and the end, for example.
Yes.
Stuff like that. But just imagine that we take this rather ugly version. Oh, by the way, we can rewrite this in a slightly different way. We can say for condition failures not any. So if not any, it should not contain any issues, then you can remove this. So now it becomes almost like how it's used internally. Let's get the layout correctly because I have OCD.
That is something I inherited from you too.
Okay. I don't take credits for that. Now imagine that you want to make an extension method. You actually want to make it a Fluent
I would love that, but first, would you mind helping us unpack this, because I'm not sure I got it right. Well, I guess we also discovered now a feature request for Fluent Assertion V8. So what does we only use the assertion scope. So the assertion scope is like assert multiple, and then it groups it. What happens when we discard the assertion scope?
Yeah, if you wouldn't do this, there's two things that it does. You basically say, I'm going to tell the scope. The scope is there to collect. Sorry. The scope is there to collect all the assertions that happen. So this is normally without a scope. If you would remove this, then this statement would throw immediately an exception. And then the second one wouldn't be executed. Normally, I would be against using multiple assertions in one test, because I like to have one test, one purpose. In this case, we're actually doing something which feels like it's like a comprehensive comparisons of the output of your console, which just happens to have multiple layers. So in this case, I'm saying, okay, I want you to group everything. If I wouldn't do this, then at the end of the scope, because this is a using block without braces, at this point, the scope would be disposed, because that's what it's doing under the hood, and then throw everything that happened in between. Now, what we're doing here is we're basically saying, you know what? There's documentation here. If you hover on it, does that work actually?
This is what's happening here. Discard, yes. Returns all failures that happen up to this point, and ensures they will not cause this post to fail. Okay. So we take ownership of failing the test.
Yeah, we're basically trying to combine what's already there in Fluent Assertions, like this should be, which would actually compare the strings and give you some indication where it's wrong. And then I'm basically saying, okay, now I don't care anymore. Give me the failures, and we treat them ourselves. We do something ourselves with that. Of course, the output is a bit ugly right now. We could spend a lot of time to fine tune it and make it more readable. And that's what we usually do if we build an extension like that. But this is essentially the internal construct, which is pretty powerful, because you can also say, oh, no, we will take this later on. But you can also say, I want to have multiple. I want to even chain things. I could say then, let's say this is the first test that I want to do, but I also want to do more additional assertions. So I could even say for another condition. So first do this. Usually what we do is, for example, check that the input is not nil. And if the nil, we give a different failure.
Yeah.
So let's say, I don't want to derail your talk or your session, but you could say that we even start with for condition output is not equal, fail with expected some, of course, something like like can't actually verify the console output. If you pass in null as an expectation. That's what we would typically do. Something like that. But it's pretty powerful. Has all kinds of placeholders that you can reuse, and also will format. Like if you can actually do something, pass in this, and then output, and then you wonder, what are you doing here? Because it's nil. It will actually render nil in a nice way, I think, using angle brackets or something like that.
Oh, cool.
And then you can say then, and continue with the next assertion. So you can actually chain the whole thing.
Oh, that is really cool. So is this basically happen? Is this what happens under the hood if we do should be dot and continue chaining?
No, not entirely, because that's a different construct.
Okay.
So you can probably go into the implementation, because you can see here this B method. This is the source code of Fluent Assertions. It's completely refactored, because there's actually a validator, a string validator that knows how to compare things, and so we use a strategy pattern implementation because there's different variations. Like this, can I actually do this? I'm trying to do things which I usually do with Rider, but it doesn't work here. Cannot go into the implementation.
I can't go further. No.
That's in Rider you can actually do this. You can find the inheritors and everything. But there's essentially multiple classes like string equality, wildcard, string equality, case sensitive, stuff like that. I'm just not 100% sure if these are public, because then you could actually reuse them in your own code and extend this thing completely your own way. Anyway, no, the AND. Oh, actually, you could see that. This is the AND construct. It's basically a helper class that has a property called AND. And the only thing what it does is return the current assertion instance.
Right. Yeah.
This is being redesigned in V7 a lot. So but this is not. So, yeah, you can actually. You also have AND which. Like if you observe a collection, you can actually say should contain single item dot which, and then the which actually gives you that single item, and you can continue the assertion.
Oh,
Nice.
I never understood the difference between and which. Oh my god. I guess I was using which wrong. Yeah, there we go.
You wanna change this into an actual Fluent assertion?
We would, yes, we would love to. Before that, Stuart has a question or a bit of a about your Spike trying out caller argument expression. Stuart always felt that this was meant for Fluent assertions.
Yeah. What Stuart is referring to is the concept that you saw earlier, that you actually see the name. If you go you can't actually see that. I was referring to the actual test output, which you don't see.
Right. Do still have it open.
Yeah, if you look at the name of the subject that you see, like where is it now? Expected error output. Here you can see that. That is using what we call a caller identification, which is a custom implementation that walks the stack trace, uses the information, the PDB. And since a more recent version of .NET, we now have an attribute that you can use. It is on my list for V7 to try to use that.
Cool.
Because then we don't. The call identification is using reflection, and reflection is pretty slow.
Yeah.
If you can have the framework actually pass in the name of that thing into the method, because you basically define an additional parameter, put the attribute in front of it, and then the framework will give you the name of the thing that you call your extension method on. So yes, it's on the list, but I'm still working on another big refactoring thing. Yeah, it's still an open source project. I'm doing it in the 3 hours. I do have a life, actually. I also have a life with it. I watch TV. I try to blog. I go to conferences. I'm also the treasurer of the handball club of my kids. So I have to do the financial stuff. And the last couple of weeks, I've been occupied with Horizon Forbidden West, because it's such a freaking awesome game.
Fair enough.
I think you tweeted
the flip side of
completionist.
I'm a completionist, absolutely. And the other side of Fluent assertions seems to be pretty popular. I also get a lot of pull requests, a lot of questions, and all of these require a lot of mental energy, especially if the more complicated ones. We sometimes really have to think about it, and I do it together with Jonas Nierup, a Danish friend of mine. We actually met each other once at NDC last year. It was the first time. It takes quite a lot of time, especially if you do this in the evenings and you have to switch around, suddenly look at the different pull request and understand it and understand the consequence. Because, as I said, you already mentioned the number of downloads, and I'm not trying to be, say that it's awesome or something like that. It is awesome, but it also comes with a lot of responsibilities. You have to really think about what kind of behavior makes sense. And we just saw the example of that. The should be method gives you like a small piece of the string, cuts it off, because we try to think about like what is it what you want to see. And now you just we didn't discuss this up front because I didn't know. This actually cuts it off because to make it readable. We had a full discussion on GitHub on this. Like, what is acceptable? What would make sense?
I see.
And then, of course, we could say, you know what? we'll just add another parameter that you can say, I want to see the whole thing.
Mhm.
Then what? Then we have another overload. And then people will ask, oh, but now I also want to have that overload on another part of the code base.
But so you get like a suggestion or something, and then you have an actual discussion, you said on GitHub, over whether or not
Yeah.
to.
Yeah.
Yeah, that also sounds like really, really tricky, because I just know, like, in my team, like when we discuss something, on Slack, and it's like sometimes a really minor thing, and we see each other every day, it can like be a really, really heated discussion. So how do you stay on top of it, and also ensure that the community sort of is, or like the team behind it is also constructive and still motivated, but like
Yeah, most cases they are. In some cases they weren't. And it's also something that I've talked about at my talk at the NDC a couple of times. It's a real project.
Mm.
And if people propose something, we may actually decide not to do it because either it's too niche,
Mhm.
like it feels like it shouldn't be part of the main library. And I also have a very strong opinion about how to build packages and how to control dependencies between packages. Kind of the solid principles. If you know solid, I try to apply this on the package level. It's something that I learned from Matthias Newbeck. He has a great book about this topic. But the other thing is that if you ask for something, we have to take into account, like, is this then going to be consistent with the rest of the library? Like somebody was asking, like, we want to have an extension method or assertion for XML or X attributes or X documents to say that it should not have a value. Like you can say it should not have a particular element with a particular value. That was a big discussion because we realized, like, yeah, but if you add this for X element, we also have to add this to X attribute. And what about the old way of doing it? XML element and XML attribute, And what does it mean if you say an XML element should not have a particular element with a value? This is hard if you don't actually read the whole thing, but does it mean that if the element doesn't exist at all, it should fail? Or should it only fail when the element exists, but it doesn't have that value? Well, these kind of things, they can go on for weeks because every day, I typically don't have time during the day to look at this. At the evening, after dinner, sitting on the watching TV with my laptop, I'm starting to read. And every time you have to reboot, you have to load the entire context of the discussion. What was it again? That takes a lot of time. And the longer this library exists, the more harder is it to actually support, to complete these discussions. And sometimes Jonas and me have different opinions about that, and then we discuss about it a little bit more. Or we have a Slack account, we have a bit of a private chat to see, we discuss this. Yeah, it happens because we actually accepted the feature. Because now what we do, if people propose something, we actually use labels on GitHub to mark, like, this is just an API suggestion, and nobody should actually work before we proved it, because we actually had people create a huge pull request without asking us. Yeah. It's very hard. See, now you see all these things. See, API needs proof, ready for review.
I get .NET runtime repository vibes here. Okay.
But it has there's a lot of responsibility that comes with this. So and this is just to protect ourselves. There's a lot because we're just the two of us. We have a couple of pretty, good contributors. They help with us. They also challenge us. And you can see there's like 18 pull requests open. That's quite a lot, actually. A lot more than I would like to see.
Yeah, but it seems like a full-time job.
Well, but it's also good because, like, right now I'm working for a client and I'm trying to build in this idea of inner sourcing. Literally everything that I do here, I can apply there as well, because there's questions like, okay, now we have this repository and we want different departments to benefit from that. How do we do that? How do you organize support? How are we going to coordinate all these requests to change things? What happens if they request something that wasn't planned or part of the original design? Then you have to have the discussion and you want to make it explicit. because sometimes you may actually decide, like, folks, that's a nice suggestion. It doesn't fit the main library. Maybe you should fork the code base or create an extension, something that builds on top of that. That's the whole idea of building, and this applies to any package that you build, even a small utility library that you use in your code base. You have to think about this.
Yeah.
Sorry, we're derailing again.
No. It was actually, this is amazing. It was training, and then also mentions that everything you build in, you now have to maintain, and that's a great point.
Yeah, and there's a good comment as well there.
Speaking of extension,
yes, sorry.
no, quite the opposite. I find this amazing, getting insights of, because now I feel that I'm kind of glad that our library is only a fragment of the Fluent Assertion downloads.
Yeah, I'm not complaining, by the way. Yeah? It has given me a lot. I mean, the fact that I'm here is because of the library, obviously.
How can we now make this nice Fluenty?
Yes.
So I never built the Fluent Assertion extension, so I'm quite happy, quite excited.
It's actually pretty simple. I'm trying to scroll, but
something.
You're the driver here.
Not sure if something broke because, well, all the code highlighting is pretty much gone.
Woohoo!
Maybe just need to open it again.
Yeah.
Maybe not.
Fleet. Maybe build it.
Close. I did build the project. Oh, there we go.
We actually said that once a feature is there will always be one random person that wants you to maintain it. Yes, that's exactly what it is. So. Is that a person posting training, or is that?
Oh, yes. Yes, he is my savior. Because I think I mentioned it. Like I'm pretty new to this all, and sometimes when I code it.
Yeah. So if you can give me a little bit of real estate, then I can actually see what I'm doing. Cool. So it's actually pretty simple. We define. Let me see. No, let's go to the actual test first. That uses this. The global.
Yes.
So essentially, what you want is, what's your subject here?
The console, which is the test console, which is a type from system.command line that holds.
So you actually want to have an extension, an assertion, a shoot method that acts on the test console?
Yes, that would be amazing.
Okay. So then let's go back to the other one. Then we start hacking away there.
Because
I would do something.
Extension method,
Oh, you can't see what I'm typing here. I'm typing a bit higher. I'm typing at the top, I think. Yes, that's me. Yeah. So I would do something. Oh, by the way, I do internal static void shoot this test console. And then what we return is something what I would call something like that.
Similar to the end constraint.
Yes, so change the return type. Yes.
I guess we need to move it into the type.
Yeah. Where am I? Now I'm in the namespace, so that should be fine. But the type doesn't exist, so I'm going to create. Oh, it's still going to do it here. Okay, well, it doesn't matter. And then, I can. How do I scroll? Or you have to scroll, I guess.
Oh, really? Okay. There it is.
Because if I do something, nothing happens. No. So what we want to do is copy paste that entire section, which we have in the verify method. The entire contents, the whole verify method, just copy paste it or into a method at the bottom. So yeah, no, not here.
Oh,
I'll take it from there then.
Yeah. Also, back in here. Yeah.
No, that's the constructor. No, we just need.
Oh, that's right.
What do we want to call it? If you go back to the using globalizer test, let's think about what the API is going to look like.
Yes. So
here you want to be able to say console.shoot.
That now I see the problem that we do two things. We assert that we have a specific output,
Mhm.
but without an error.
Yeah.
Should we already kind of combine that to have should
You could,
should
for
have
now, for the sake of simplicity, let's combine them. But really,
Yeah.
that should be two methods. So should console should have output or something. Let's do that. Yeah. Go back to the original code.
So let's copy the entire method, not just the body.
That's also fine. And then we're going to make it like a little bit up. And then I can type myself. Should have output. Okay. We keep this. We add this to a private variable. Yes, that works. Should have output. Output is null. No, we don't want this. We have to make it not nullable. Should have arrow. And then probably we want to have something like because. And then a params array with a string or object actually. Because args. Interesting. Then you wonder. This is not a static. And basically what we take now is the test console, I guess. We take the output, right? We just directly extend it from here, extract it from here. We do the same thing. And now we actually say, remove this because args. I'm doing this now in a more idiomatic Fluent assertion. Fail. Ideally, you wouldn't want to have something like. Now you have the actual condition. Oh yeah, and since you do not want to have this method to appear in the output in the stack trace, you can say something like this is a custom assertion. So now Fluent Assertions knows that if it builds the whole stack trace. Oh, sorry, it's out of view. How do I cannot scroll, can I?
No, well, no, because I'm controlling the stream.
That's why. So essentially, what I'm doing here is with the custom assertion, I'm telling Fluent Assertion, like if it builds the whole stack trace when the assertion fails, it should not actually include the have output method itself.
Yes.
And this is everything you need to do.
Ooh.
Because if you now go back to the
global... could we actually get rid of because I guess we could get rid of the error argument here, can't we? And then assert it to be empty. Like and just be.
Yes, we can do that.
Because I think we had, what did we have? We have it nullable before, so let's, I guess, just null it here. And
now we do differently.
To get it compiling.
We don't have, yeah, but I would actually do it.
Ooh, yes. Something
like that. And by the way, I would also do this. I'll show you in a second why. So I'm passing in this. Because what a lot of people don't know, if you now go back to the tests.
Oh, no. Now I'm excited.
Oh, yeah, I also have to go there, then I can type. Using global tests, this one. Now we can, and I like to create a little bit more space. We can actually say console should have, why is that not working? What is the type of console? Test console. Okay, that should be correct.
I think the should method is
different namespace.
Compile error. I'm putting this because it's outside of a type. I'll just move this into the type.
Why? You don't need to nest it.
Well, it needs to be in the type. We can't have top level methods, can we?
Oh yes, of course. Yeah, you're right. You're right. My bad. And now now you can actually say should have output. What did we have before? This thing here. And then you have the other parameters. You could say something because we were expecting 2 occurrences. Yes, this is correct. Yeah. No. Yes, it is. So the first parameter is obviously what you're expecting. But idea is that you also explain, and sometimes it's completely obvious, but it's an optional thing. Every Fluent Assertion API has that you can add additional information. You can even have, like, this supports also like placeholders, just like string does. And then you can pass it on with the parameters. Alternative, you don't even have to do the because. If it doesn't start with a because, it will add it for you.
I'm afraid, I didn't catch the last part. Could you talk into the microphone? Sorry.
Oh, sorry. I'm trying to, yeah. So if you, so this is more like the rationale, like why should that assertion succeed? And if it fails, it will actually tell you that. Because generally you have like general purpose assertions, like be and then be empty. And you want to provide some additional context, like why should it be empty then? That's why you use the because for. And what I just said is that this because is optional. It will add it for you if you don't use that. But for me, it makes it more readable. So this is optional.
I see. So like
now
a bit of a, does this have a bit of a behavior-driven development kind of a style? Do I get that right?
Yeah, it's influenced that. Influenced from that,
Oh, that's really cool.
So can we run it?
Ooh.
Let's see.
We want the test.
Yeah, but build output is not minimal.
And we get, okay, with a length, because we were expecting 2 occurrences, but empty string with length of 0, and it differs near index 0. And then we get expected console to be empty because we were expecting 2 occurrences.
I don't like that.
Found the entire text.
Yeah. But it's doing something which I was actually expecting it to say expected console out to be.
Oh, so it just says console? Is that the...
Yeah. You know why? Because...
we do console out. Should we instead have our assertions not on the entire console, but at console out?
No. That should be fine.
Okay.
It's one level below. It is probably because it should actually, if you go to the implementation there and then go to the should method, there we actually use console. So it's falling back to the console thing. Why is it doing that? Because I was expecting to say expected console output to be.
This expression. Okay.
So it's maybe it's because is it because of the custom assertion? Probably. Let's try again. I removed the custom assertion tag. Yeah, now you get it. Yeah.
Okay.
Exactly. Yeah, because what happens is that because you mark it as an extension, it basically it completely ignores. It doesn't actually look at the implementation or try to extract the caller identifier. You can fix that yourself by using the assertion scope. You can even pass in an identifier. It goes quite far sometimes. There's so many features, I sometimes forget like what you can do. Well, so the assertion scope actually has an overload. See?
Okay.
You can actually provide some context, and then in the output, you would see something like that.
And we can have an entire assertion strategy. Okay.
It's all extendable. It's a lot of extensibility that nobody uses, or people actually. Well, that's well, people do. That's the scary part. People actually use things that were never meant to be extended, and then they do, and then that's why we have to be semantically versioned. Because if you want to change something, we have to bump the version. But what you quite often see is that I don't actually use an assertion API like should be in my custom assertions, because those two worlds don't really work well together.
You mean like that's then not should be, but more like a have output and go on that.
In this case, it's a console. A console should have output.
Yeah.
You could even have a second one have an error output or have output and error or something like that. Yeah.
How would you then? Yeah, how would you go about? Because I think we have. Do we have? Well, I guess we had it previously. Our previous feature was actually supporting both, where we can pass in either an output and or an error.
Yeah.
So how would you go about supporting that? Should this be one method or maybe and combined?
Probably separate methods, because it needs to be intuitive. That's the thing. It needs to be discoverable. People need to be able to understand without understand. Well, the thing is, if you add all these parameters and you look at the call side, you might wonder, like, okay, what is what? Because if you pass in two parameters, like, okay, what is what? Then you would probably have to use name parameters or something like that. But it's all opinionated, of course. It's all matter of taste. But my experience is that we try to really make an effort to make it self-describing, self-explanatory. It should be intuitive. And I would rather go for separate methods.
Yeah. Should we then, how would you do that? Should we then have something like and have error?
Yeah, I'm trying to think about that.
Or what would be, how do we approach that duo that we have of error and output?
Well, you could actually say have output and have error. Let's say that you completely skip the error output part, because you're not actually doing anything with that. You only care about the have output. Now what we could say is and constraint is then it comes. And then we have to return new. And constraint is just a way to chain things like this. And you could then also have, and I'm copy pasting the whole thing, so I hope you're following my screen a little bit. Have error.
Like, I think Toast and Trading put that in, didn't he? Yeah. Have output and not have error.
Oh, that's weird. If I do Control RR, even though that's rename, Control RR, funny. It's not entirely okay. Error output. And now, and by the way, full output becomes this, because there's no error output. So we remove this. We remove this as well. So this is the full output. This is the, let's call it, this is the full console output. This is the full, oh, sorry.
No, go.
I'm typing and you're trying to follow, like, where's the jumping around? Yeah.
The thing is, it used to, well, last episode it worked. The latest fleets seem to have, well, currently the follow feature is not working anymore.
It's a shame. But now we have two methods. So if you would go back to the tests, to extension methods.
Ooh.
Have error, and exactly, now you can chain them.
So the because and the because is usually optional, is it?
Yes, you can remove it to keep the example easier.
So do you
needs to be correct.
Right. Do you usually make this nullable, or
no, make it
set to empty?
Have a default value. Also for the other one.
And now we can say and have error. Well, in this case, we don't want any error.
Okay.
Well, it doesn't really make all too much sense, but
that's not what I would do. Then I would actually add and not have error.
Yeah.
Ooh, yes.
So then I would have a second overload or a third method actually saying not have error or not have output.
Where we then assert that, the error should be empty and
no, not empty. Sorry. Yeah, true. Yeah, the question is that probably you have overloads, because you might want to say it should not have an error at all, or should not have an error with a particular string.
Ooh, this is what you mentioned earlier, because actually we don't care about the exact formulation, but the parts that we then in the production code string interpolate. So the variable parts, which is the project name, the number of occurrences, the usings we have replaced, and where we replace them to. So could we change our have output to be more? Actually, let's remove these for now, and it should still, the test should still pass if I guess remove the off here and work globalized to, or write something. I'm just doing underscores here. Yeah, I guess now our current test will fail. Also, no, yeah, let's actually fix our test. Let's go, let's make it green. Let's use C#10 so that our file scope namespaces work.
Oh.
And now we see, yes, okay, yeah, now the off, but yeah, we don't really care about the off. We care about other parts of the assertions. So how could we go about that now?
Oh, well, so what we could do is to change the implementation. Let's go back to have output.
Have output. Bloop.
Yeah, what we could do is say we just rename this thing. So, well, why does not work? If I do, you actually don't see what I'm doing. I know. I'm going to rename it, and I'm going to call it output pattern.
Oh yeah.
And now I'm going to say should match. And actually take a wildcard pattern.
So what does the wildcard pattern support? Is this basically stars and question marks?
Yeah. Otherwise it would be match regex.
You also have wedge. Ooh, cool.
Yeah, we also have match regex. Yeah, look at this.
Ooh, wow.
Yeah. Which you could do, but it probably doesn't make your test readable. Using simple wildcards is probably good enough.
So a question mark is, if I remember correct, is any single character.
Yeah.
And a star is any number, any chars, where no characters would match as well. Do I get that right?
Yeah. If you use regular expressions, you have a lot more options, but in my experience, you also don't need that.
So we could now basically do stars instead of these, and I guess using directive, we don't really care about that as well. Those are the parts, occurrences, maybe neither. Those are the parts that we really care about. Those are the variable parts. Is this not passing?
Yes.
Ooh, oh, this is really amazing. Okay.
Now, I would actually, that's usually what I do, try to see if it actually fails for the right reason. So by removing, I don't know, the star, does it fail again? Or when you make it 3, will it fail with 3? Because 2...
Yeah.
Never trust a green test.
Exactly. yeah, exactly.
Woohoo!
And we have, yes, and does not, test projects, free. Oh, yeah. And we also see, oh, yeah, because we also put out the full output. Oh, that's really cool. And I guess, yeah, so this is then some pattern that we could have output and not have error. Ooh, is there also then, not have error, but the dot not. Is this also like a negation? Is this also what we have in the chat?
Yeah, you would have to create that, yeah.
So
somebody, Toast and Training believes that regex is perfectly readable. Or we could do the regex thing. There's another trick.
And also half of the
Some people love to clean themselves.
It's the little things in life.
Yes, let's go. Is it regex? Regex?
Regex.
What is it, Eva?
I don't know. But we do, I believe, have usually Toasting training or also Stuart has helped us with like English, right?
Yeah.
It's like half of the stream is like learning how to code, and half of it is learning how to speak English.
Yeah, true.
So.
Yeah.
So we would change the match to regex.
Yes, you could do that as well. And
And
now I recommend doing something additionally, is put an attribute in front of the first parameter of have output. And the attribute would be string syntax attribute.
Ooh, I have never used this. Finally. So there isn't. Are there content?
Yeah, and then you
are
need to
these videos-
use string
are there-
syntax attribute or regex, I think.
Yes. Well, I hope that Fleet is formatting that. So we can.
The question is if Fleet supports that. The point is you basically give it a hint to your IDE that is expecting a regular expression. Now go to the call side. I don't know if Fleet supports that. And if you start typing here.
Okay, now I embarrass myself. My regex is terrible.
Dot star.
Dot star. Do you put it like in braces? No. Would this work as a single string? I'm just wondering if the star.
Yeah.
Apparently regex,
okay.
not regex.
Maybe the
new yeah.
Got some
there we go.
tips again.
Well, that's something
But it
to
makes
say.
sense because also like the word regular, right?
Regular expression.
Regular expressions, depending if you're American or British, or what accent you prefer to simulate.
British, for sure.
American, for sure.
Oh, it's okay to be wrong.
No, it's. I can't do the other one, but I like it as well.
So maybe it doesn't work with raw string or with interpolated raw string literals.
Yeah, something like that. Could be. Could be just a limited. I mean, Fleet is still beta, right? Was there ever an official release?
Not yet. No, it's still in preview. Yeah.
Exactly. Everything is a public preview, so I don't blame them. But the working together is actually pretty neat. But this is a way to make it nicer. But in the end, majority of the time we spend on is figuring out what is the most logical, natural way of expressing what you want to assert. And that requires sometimes that you cannot be lazy by adding another nullable parameter or something like that, but that you have to actually extend your API with additional overloads, and sometimes you make the wrong choice and you have to change that. But yeah. And every project, we also build our custom extensions like you do right now.
The build is currently failing because I think because we do multi-target, and I think this attribute is not on net 6 yet. Was it added in 7?
That could be. I was actually
never
looking
recall.
That is but then you can use the regex pattern attribute, which is part of JetBrains annotations. Using syntax. No, string syntax is on .NET 7, 8, and 9. So instead of this one, you can also use the regex. What is it? Regex pattern attribute. Then you have to probably it will say exactly.
Does it include JetBrains annotations? Cool.
That's
version 4.2.
Oh, interesting number.
And cannot. Does it add to the? No. Oh yeah, there it is.
No,
that's Fluent Assertions.
You need the JetBrains annotations.
It's not added to the. Oh, does this not work?
However, I have another trick how we can solve this. If you can go back.
Oh no, there we go.
Oh,
if
you want to go back.
Yes.
To the project, and then use the original attribute.
Use the original attribute, yeah.
Yeah, the one that was yes. So I guess you can also switch between the framework versions. Like in Rider, in Visual Studio, you can actually switch, and I want to see the version of the code for .NET 6, 7, 8.
Yeah, I'm not sure if hopefully it does support that. If it does, I don't know how to switch between.
Usually there's something at the bottom where you can choose. Yeah, and the lower right corner you can do that. I don't. No, you're in the C just part. You have to go to a C sharp. Here.
Ooh, there we go. Cool. Yes.
Now now you have a problem, right? There's a neat library. It's called Polysharp.
Polysharp. Yes.
You know that one?
Yeah.
I don't know it.
Because the IDE, like what it does is the IDE understands the attribute, but it doesn't care whether the attribute is part of the .NET framework or not.
Okay.
So what Polysharp does is you add this to your project, and then it will generate automatically like stubs or basically those classes that you need for the IDE to work.
Mm-hmm.
So you have to build it, I guess. Did you add it as a package?
I did. So here it is.
Yeah.
And I will
try to build it because it should actually generate this for you.
Does it not build because it's not
maybe
compiling? No.
It doesn't do anything, right?
No.
Lead is broken again.
Really. I believe so.
Can you expand it? Do you actually see what it generated? Go to packages.
Yeah, I'm wondering if we see.
No, it's on the top. It's on the
see the
here, and now can you click on Polysharp?
No, I can't. So it doesn't seem to display generators.
Maybe it doesn't support generators. If you run this if you build it from the command line.
Good point.
Does it actually build? Or maybe I'm too ambitious and actually Polysharp. Oh yeah, see, it does work.
It does build, and it also successfully in the 6 version. So if you do a .NET test on that, well, I guess we test everything now, but
yeah.
We actually, we do get our failing test. But now, wait, this is one of our early tests. Why is this one failing? Oh, I guess we can
have more tests that you need to verify.
Yeah. No, everything is gone. That makes us happy. But I'm not sure why this is not.
Yeah.
So apparently it doesn't actually work with Polysharp. You need a real IDE.
Well, it does work. Oh yeah, well we're quite in anticipation of when Wider is supporting Code with Me.
Yeah, because now you switch back to .NET 8, which does have the attribute built in.
Yeah.
Oh.
It doesn't need a polyfill for that.
Maybe it helps us. Maybe it's enough to run.
You can actually copy paste the implementation from .NET 8 and copy it into a project, and it will also work.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Well, but it suffices to build a project via so, and we can run it now. And yeah, we see the test failing. Test 2, and that's cool. Also, Stuart is suggesting that in Rider, the moment we take the dollar from the syntax, from the string away, we do get syntax highlighting. So maybe it's not working well with, working with a warstring literal, but not with a interpreted warstring with literal. Well, okay. But if we now go fix that, change it back to 2, we should have a failing, passing test again.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's tricky.
Failing correctly?
Where's my? Oh,
well, I saw something green.
It's like a real project. At some point, you have so many tabs and tool windows open.
Yeah.
Your colleague comes to you like, and the first thing I say, can you please close all these panels because I need real estate. Stick around. This happened. You can ask my colleagues, and then I walk away, and they say, "Oh, Dennis came by, and now everything is rearranged again." He probably also changed the keyboard layout because he's a keyboard.
Cool. Now I would answer like I guess I'm also a little bit of a completionist. Implement.
You want the not have an error stuff?
Yes, I'm searching the.
Oh, that's easy.
So this one, yes, to also support the not.
I'm a bit disappointed that you haven't actually tried to use the AI assistant or Copilot. because it would
not a
probably
fleet yet.
generate those for you all the way.
So then I just tab up. Okay, well, next to do, install in Fleet the AI assistant, I think it's called.
Yeah, that one, I don't know, it does. But can you not have Fleet? No, probably not. Plugins or something.
So how can we endify that?
How can we do what?
How can we, how can we enable the not? So that we have...
Does it really make sense to have like just a not, or does like not have output?
No, this doesn't work. It could, but it would actually require you that. I mean, the not that would be a property, and a property would have to keep track of state that the next statement that you're doing is going to be inverted. And that's a concept because what you're doing is a Fluent API. You're just returning something. You could do that, like the not could actually, it's a bit complicated, but the not could actually change the state of the, what is the class that you're on? Test console extensions? No, test console assertions.
Assertions, yeah.
So it returns the assertion. So for example, the and, if you go to the implementation, just returns itself. So return new and constraint passes in this, and which at the end, the only thing and does, if you go to the implementations, you will see that it's extremely stupid and simple thing. It has a property called and, which returns what you pass in the constructor. So what you could do, have an additional overload. So instead of and constraint, build your own one, which has a not property that would change the state of the entire assertion class. Like now, everything you do should be negated.
So we have like the and not constraint?
Yeah, something. And it would have an and a not. Oh, this is going to be really confusing. Something like that. I just don't know if you can. Yeah, you can. You probably have the constructor.
Do we need some generic constraint? So I need to. Yeah. Oops. Panic mode. There we go. Generic constructor.
Yeah.
And we forward the constraint, and we offer a property not.
Yeah, which returns
then not constraint.
No, it returns the. Actually, I would change the T and make it the test console assertions. Now we're basically to go somewhere where we never went. To boldly go where we've never been before. I was looking for that phrase. You're entering an explored area.
Ooh, uncharted territory.
Uncharted area. That's what you're doing here. So essentially, you change the. Yeah, exactly. You actually return test console assertions, but you do something special in your get. You need to change the state. You can't do that. You probably have to keep track of it.
So we need to throw the field.
Yeah, exactly. Add a field for parent constraint. Yeah, the name parent constraint is a bit something. I would just call it the, I don't know, current assertions or something. Make it more explicit. I like explicit names.
I should use the rename feature.
And then don't assign not a value, but change the get into an implementation.
Like just a
so we like can this.
Return. No.
The theme of this episode.
Yeah.
It's a testing. The whole point is have things fail. That's what QA is like. They want to see the system fail because then they add value. Right? I see that as a good thing. Here you want to return, of course, the current assertions. But you want to do something else before that. You want to change the state of the current assertions. So what you want to do is, let me.
Yes, please.
So what we do is what happens with the braces. Everything is screwed up now. Doesn't matter. Is there a format? No, there's no format. Okay, sorry. What we want to do is current assertions inverted is true or something.
Mm-hmm.
We go, oh, it jumps to the top, which you cannot see.
I'll just move. So yeah, that's the type. Yeah.
So what we do is we added the flag on the entire assertions class, which says like, okay, whether everything you do after this point should be inverted.
Yes.
This is not what Fluent Assertion does, by the way. We just have methods called not have output or not contain or not be empty.
Mm-hmm.
This would be a more fluent if you would want to go in that direction. Now you would have to rewrite your have output to actually understand that if it's inverted, you need to do the opposite.
Mm-hmm. So basically have an if inverted, then, well, else do the previous thing. But if we are inverted, we should be empty.
Yeah.
Then I guess the arcs, no, that's actually fine, is it?
They will be the same.
Yeah.
But no, but in this case, you would say it should not have output.
Oh, that's one.
You remove the expectation. Oh.
Yeah, the expectation doesn't make sense, does it?
Yeah, and then you would have to have an overload that doesn't have any parameters or no specific expectation.
I see, yeah. Mm-hmm.
See, and then suddenly the whole thing explodes because you're talking about several overloads just to implement a simple mechanism. But that's the reality of building a library like that.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
You get my point. So yeah, you want to make a difference like, okay, should not have an error means it should not have an error at all. Or do you want to have an overload where you can also say it should not have an error with this that matches this particular pattern? Those are two different things.
Yes, indeed. Oh yeah. Okay, yeah. Yes, this explodes.
Usually what happens is that you have a couple of methods that all call the same methods with certain parameters.
Mm-hmm.
And if it becomes really unwieldy, like with all these string overloads, so like I want to be able to check a string for wildcard, regex, normal string, case sensitive, you would actually refactor and build maybe some kind of strategy pattern.
And how could you? I'm just. This should then be also be empty. How can we then inject this? Well, first I would like to see this compiling, so we cannot, because the end is. Hold on, what are we doing?
Yeah, your original method is not returning your new.
Oh yes,
and
we have the end not constrained. Yeah, and oh yeah, that's no longer generic. And this is the end not constrained.
You could make it generic, but then you need to also define that the thing that's generic needs to support this inverted flag. Like introducing an interface called invertible or something.
Mm-hmm.
It's the nice thing about working on Fluent Assertions. You learn a lot about abstractions, interfaces, generic stuff, how to use self-referencing generics, which we do a lot with Fluent APIs. It's still returning the wrong one.
I guess I'm still have output and
that's correct.
And not constrained.
No, but are you changing the one that's returned from the extension method or using a different one?
The one from the.
Yeah, that's the correct one.
Maybe it just needs to build or something.
You probably have to rebuild or something again.
Yeah.
It's not building. I don't see any output.
Yeah, maybe we want to test.
Yeah, now it's
building it.
No, it still doesn't work. Let me think.
Have output and not.
I know.
Not. I don't.
You're first calling and and is coming from the base class.
Yes.
The wrong type.
So does this mean we need to overload the end basically in this case?
You probably shouldn't even use the end, the base class. You should rewrite the whole thing yourself.
Yes. Okay. To cheat a little and get it working, I guess, can we do something like new? And then just return this for some cheating. And this should be the console. Oh, sorry. Yeah, wrong assertion. Of course, the end not constraint. And then this. Oh, yeah. Then I guess. Okay. New not assertion. And now we could have, okay. And not, well, we could also go like not, can we? Yeah. So double invert. No. Can we?
Oh.
Oh no, I need to return this one, I guess, as well. No, does this make sense? I'm not sure anymore.
Yeah.
Yeah, I guess. Okay, but we could and not have an error and just do empty string. No. And can't we solve? Also, because
the not should actually return the test console assertions.
Okay. Okay, so that was, yeah, I guess the nothing doesn't make sense.
You still have new there. It doesn't compile. You have new.
Yeah. We run the test. And what do we get? We get, oops. Oh, we get a build error.
Compile error because I think.
Still framework 2.
Yeah, you're returning new, correct? But the new keyword is not needed.
Oh.
193. No, not 1.
Oh, excuse me. 193. Oh yeah. Yes. Thank you.
Now I would not actually inherit from end constraint because it's not helping you.
Also, we should build our own.
Yeah, just remove it completely and just have another at the end here. Exactly. That's it.
And yeah.
And stop. Go back. And should actually. Oh, that's interesting. Because the question now is, if you call and without not, this doesn't work. I guess that's the whole point of this live session, to show people in real life how everything fails and doesn't compile. Because yeah, if you now go back to the usage of this and see what happens. Where is it?
Oh, there it is. Yes.
Just try to type and then dot.
Not and. Not.
Yeah, without not.
Without not. We don't have a have error. Yes,
No,
I
correct. See, this is complicated because basically what you need is the and should return the assertion class, and on that assertion class we should have a not. So not here. You can actually go back all the way back to the drawing board. You don't need this custom class. You just need to put it on the test console assertions. Get my point?
So we don't. So we put the end on the not, including the inverted.
No,
we put it.
Okay.
No, I'm not sure.
Big charge again. So you actually don't need this. This one returns and constraint. Yes, because this one also should be and constraint. And what you're going to do, what is it? Number of parameters. Test console.
Excuse me, where are you? The follow would not be handy.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I tend to jump around a lot. Yeah, and now we have a public test console assertions. Not.
There we go.
Is inverted. What's the thing that I actually added? The thing. Oh, inverted. Inverted is true. this. Return this. I don't think this is correct. You have to do something like this. I always forget the syntax for that. Usually I just tell it to refactor. There's no, oh, okay. That should work. Actually, you could even say is not inverted. Because then you can do not.
Yeah.
Did I screw up the brackets, braces somewhere? I never know. Okay. And now, if you go back to your test case, global. Oh, you should be. Let's remove this because this is noise. Now you have. Hello. Now I have no IntelliSense whatsoever.
Still, I think we. Oh yeah, that's still the old console.
Oh, yeah, and we have to put the type there. Yeah, exactly.
Test console assertions. I think one more to fix. And constraint test console assertions. Okay. Perhaps now.
Now we can go back.
Oh.
Where was I? The wrong place.
In
This
65, yeah.
Now you would see and have error, have output, and you could say not. Have error.
Perfect.
Or you could even say not, which is actually this would work. This would technically work. Provided the thing is, you obviously don't want to see the inverted. So let's switch that because it doesn't actually have to be a property. It could just be a private. You know, bool. Yes, it should have a different name, renamed to inverted. And then you solve that. And then you could say should not have error. Should not have error with a particular thing. Yeah. That's how you extend it further and further.
Oh, this is really cool.
You're basically building your own language, and that's essentially what Fluent Assertions is doing. Yeah? Just build our own little language or a domain-specific language using Fluent APIs. But there's unfortunately a lot of things that you cannot really do in C# just yet.
What do you mean, for example? For example?
Well, so what I'm missing is you cannot define a generic assertion, a generic extension method. Like if you would take a simple object and you would do .shoot on it, the type of the subject will be object, unless it's one of the specifically supported extensions. So essentially, if you would go to the shoot method of the library, you'll find there's like 50 or 40 different .shoot methods, all referring to different types. So this is yours, but if you go to the one from, now you can jump in there, and now you go to the one that we used internally.
Oh yeah, so like this one here. So this is now on a string. Yeah.
Yeah, this is the actual class that contains all the shoots that it supports. There's a lot of them.
Ooh, yes. Okay, so those are all the types or the derived types other than object and structs. Where you
there's one called object. If you can look for object
assertions.
Here, this one. The problem with this one is that you don't see the type. It's not generic anymore. You just get an object reference. You cannot make any assumptions about that. The problem is, as soon as you would make this generic, so you would have a shoot and an angle brackets T, the compiler will say, "Oh, but that's the one that I will always use, and it will never use any of the other ones."
Ah, I see.
Sometimes I would like to say, if there's a more specific one, if there's a shoot overload that takes an enumerable, use that one. But if you can't find any specific one, please take the one that's generic, so we can give the user of my library as much information as possible.
Is this something where Stuart is mentioning C#13, where the extension everything with explicit and implicit extension points could help?
Yeah, I still have to look at this. This is, by the way, an interesting side effect of having an open source project with relatively large number of contributors. You always learn something new. Like all this stuff, polysharp, the regex pattern attribute, that's stuff that people contribute. Like, hey, you can actually do this to make it nicer.
Yeah.
You learn so much from that. You get so much insights. That's also one of the benefits of working open source, because it's almost like a continuous learning experience. As I like to call myself, the continuous improver. Good times, right? Yeah. Yeah, we haven't touched. I mean, we basically looked at the same method for the last 2 hours. But
Yeah.
I'll look up the talk. Thank you, Stuart. It's interesting. All right.
Awesome.
What I really love is that we can now make our assertions feel more native,
Yeah.
and we just did not one type with that has two things to check: the output and the error stream. We have some Roslyn or some file-based overloads now to create, and especially in our using directive tests. Is it that's our core, where we also use a lot of Roslyn. Do we have them here? Those are not here. Oops, that's the using globalizer tests. We do have our custom. No, I can't find the type. Roslyn assert, where we assert projects of Roslyn and such. Okay, I see now. We can spend, I guess, 2 years of building assertions. Oh, this is really cool.
Yeah. No, thank you so much for this, for like helping us discover this a little bit, and sharing your knowledge with us. It's
Yeah,
been
you're
really,
welcome.
really
I
valuable.
expected to be able to do a lot more refactorings, but the time flies. Actually, I'm surprised about how fast 2 hours pass by.
But we really got to the core of the assertion. So we had a total run through, and it's really amazing. Now you mentioned a lot of lessons that you have learned from open source. There was actually an opportunity where people could learn more about that. I read that you are in Nuremberg again this year, aren't you?
Yes, I am looking forward to it. In 3 weeks, I think.
Ooh.
Yep.
And I guess this is
That's the talk.
Yeah. I saw that one already. That's really, really cool. And you said at the beginning, you say that you have to keep updating that number.
Yeah, the problem with presentations and talk conferences, you usually have to propose like 6 months up front. And when I proposed this the first time at the NDC last year, it was 200 million. I think it's now 370 million or something. So I guess in 3 weeks is 375 million.
Yeah, most likely.
It will probably may even sound cooler in a couple of like in a year or so. It will probably be 500 million or something.
Yeah.
True. The future is bright for Fluent Assertions. They have lots of stuff planned for V7. And probably the breaking changes, then we release, and then we're already looking at V8. So so many great ideas coming from the contributors. And if people would want to contribute, then you're welcome.
Yes.
We welcome that. Takes a lot of time, but you can already see like everybody's working on it and trying to make it better.
We'll also link the repository in the chat.
Thank you.
And cool. That was amazing. Thank you so much.
Yeah, you're welcome. Thank you. It was awesome. It was a really nice experience to be here.
And it's been an absolute pleasure also from my side having you on the show, and also thank you to all of our viewers for helping us out again with stuff and having interesting questions and comments in the chat. It's always lovely to see you here with us.
Cool. It was an honor.
Almost 500 million.
Yeah, that's a cool name. Yeah. Cool. Thanks for all the viewers to be here to listen to this.
To wrap it up, I guess we will have to continue the journey now on our own. We will dive deeper into it.
Sure.
Our next time will be, try to remember the shortcut. Yes. So in exactly 2 weeks, minus 2 hours, Wednesday the 26th, is when we'll be back.
Cool.
I will find this. No, I messed it up again. I imported the image. Actually, there it is. Oh yeah. We still have to practice the exits more
yeah.
fluently.
Continuous improvements.
Yes.
Of course, that's what it is.
All right. Thank you all. See you
Thank you
next
so much.
time.